Gord Perrier is here. He's Deputy Police Chief, Winnipeg Police Service. He's here this afternoon to talk about the Ride for Refuge this coming Saturday. But Deputy Chief, what we hear in this story is very much like what you're dealing with in trying to talk about and reach out to all sorts of victims.
Yeah, one of the charity that we're riding for is the Joy Smith Foundation. And one of those pillars that is part of her foundation is public education and really talking about needs of victims. When we talk about the Bill Cosby case, what's really interesting about that, like from a policing perspective, academic perspective, is that it's predatory behavior. And generally, when we talk about exploitation, predatory behavior is very predictable. We know what it is. We know what grooming behavior looks like. We can teach that. We can inform our young people. And from that, often we can intervene before acts take place. And when they do take place, those behaviors are absolutely key to proving those offenses. And our laws need to reflect those types of behaviors. And thankfully in Canada, it does.
Bill Cosby used drugs to impair women so that they were less likely to report what happened. When we're talking about human trafficking and exploitation, they will often use those threatening behaviors. And we heard the one recent case of the woman that managed to escape and telling police, listen, he said he was going to kill my entire family. And they just have so much control. And officials tell us as citizens that we need to watch out for things and maybe we can help save someone. What are some of the things that we look for? Because they use such strong control over these women, it could be difficult for us to detect.
Correct. And you know what? At the beginning, these are the things that we talk about. You talk about like violent, super violent acts or people being drugs or forced to addict. It may start those ways, but eventually control is not, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Once they break down that barrier, a person can be controlled in many ways. And I have a real good example to illustrate that. Winnipeg Police became engaged with a person who was human trafficked. And through that process, we're engaging with them. And the thing that really struck me was two things. There was a constant ask of, hey, can I go to the washroom right now? Do you think I'm hungry? Do you think maybe I could have something to eat? It was that constant permission to do those things that you and I really take for granted. And that's the level when we talk about exploitation and trafficking, it gets to. And as a police officer, we see lots of disturbing things. I'll tell you the most disturbing thing that I saw when I talk about human trafficking is the removal of people's shoes, that they're locked up every night, that they don't have their shoes with them at all points in time. You just think about those subtle things, and it really is disturbing.
Deputy Chief Gord Perrier is with us on 680 CJOB. Police now believe, but there was a time very much like Cosby where agencies wouldn't believe. Are we still catching up to that?
Well, everyone has somewhere to go on that. For Winnipeg, we've been really leading the charge there, and I think we can say that. I mean, the unfounded sexual assaults was something that was talked about nationwide, and Winnipeg fared fairly well in that. We've had sort of the right people in that area for a long time that have really been saying, look, you need to look at this differently. It's not just about making a report. Sometimes victims aren't ready to engage fully with the police and go down that whole judicial path. But it doesn't mean that information shouldn't be captured because it tells us a community story and people should be believed.
Are we learning from the victims? Is that something that the force is actively doing so that your strategies are better when you're looking for these types of crimes?
Yeah, almost 10 years ago, I brought in a survivor of a human trafficking, and we packed the room on 3 occasions. We had 300 people there to hear her story. And we learned all kinds of things from that story of what to look out for, what shopping patterns might look like, how to involve a financial investigation to uncover how it fits into trafficking, and all kinds of other things. The list is really long. And I know some of the committees that studied the early laws around human trafficking were also able to look at those things, and they designed laws to help support those types of activities.
Speaking of support, how can we help this Saturday?
Well, the Ride for Refuge, Winnipeg Police has 10 employees out as a team. We've raised $27,000 in the last month. And you can pledge online right to the Ride for Refuge, right to my team or any other team that's really sponsoring, supporting a lot of great charities in the city.
Your team's ahead?
Yeah, we're leading in the city. We're number 2 in Canada, actually.
Number 2 in Canada. How do we make you number 1 in Canada?
Well, there's some places there. They're up there. They're really up there on those numbers. But, first year that we participated, I'm really proud of the team. And Winnipeggers, like always, rise to the occasion. And we're such a giving city.
Well, the News is going to make a donation. We'll tell you that right now to your cause and your team. And we thank you for doing what you do day in and day out at the Winnipeg Police Service.
Thank you very much, Richard.